are addressing, we have actually started with a webinar series that is addressing the high-level structure of international standards, and this means it doesn't matter if it's ISO 9001, 14,000, 45,000, 18,000, 27,000, or any other standard that is linked to the high-level structure. And we will be looking today at a practical focus on clause 4.1. Now, for people that don't know CREST Advisory Africa, I'm just going to give an overview quickly. Sorry. Good. So the agenda for today is that we are just going to look at what is who is CREST Advisory Africa and our seven services, and then we are going to do the understanding the high-level structure of clause 4.1, and then a practical implementation model for clause 4.1, and the questions, if there is any questions, and then contact us. Simple. We're not going to waste a lot of time. We are just going to address it. So who is CREST? CREST Advisory Africa has been established by myself. I'm the founder and CEO of CREST since the 13th of June 2014. So this year, we are 12 years old, and we can just say that we are blessed. We have got a number of services, and we have been contracted with 3 certification bodies. Firstly, the Professional Evaluation Certification Board, that is for people certification. You can find them at pecb.com. Then MSECB, that is the Management Systems Evaluation and Certification Body. You can find them as well on msecb.com. And then DQS, that is our latest certification body that is certifying us as auditors. And we are doing through these last 2 certification bodies, we are doing ISO management system certifications, whether it is ISO 9001, 14,000, 45, 27, and I have to say that I am one of the only 2 accredited auditors by the MSECB in Africa, on the African continent, at the moment for artificial intelligence for ISO 42001. So our offerings, this is our offerings that we've got. Firstly, we are doing internationally certified training through the PECB, and you can see the various standards. We're doing about 58 standards that we are conducting training in. Then our advisory service, it is also applicable on the implementation of the management systems that we have got listed under the training as well as under the advisory services. Then we've got auditing services. Just going here on the, just want to put my pointer on quickly, sorry. So the auditing services, we're doing internal audits, risk-based audits, sustainability audits, compliance audits, second-party audits, as well as independent third-party audits. And then Isolytics, our GRC software that we have got, and we are having the modules for risk management, audit software, compliance software, document management software, checklist software, know your customer software, asset management software, business impact analysis software, and more. We are at the moment on the website, and on the website we've got about 12 or 13 modules. We will be, by the end of the year, all the other modules will be in place as well. And then international ISO certification audits. As I said, we are certified for 9001, 14,000, 45,000. There at the bottom. Oh, there it is. And various other standards, even the latest one that is ISO 42001. So understanding the ISO high-level structure, I just want to explain there quickly. If you look at the structure since 2015, prior to 2015, any ISO standard that is prior to 2015 doesn't have the same structure. It is actually all over the place. So since 2015, the high-level structure has been implemented by ISO, and this means that every standard, every certifiable standard looks the same. It addresses the same things. It is just applicable on the specific discipline that you are actually working with. So it is actually very easy to not only have one standard, but to have multiple standards. Some of our clients are at the moment on 3, 4 standards, and that makes that when we are auditing them, we are auditing them once on everything. So on clause 4.1, we are auditing them across 4 standards. 4.2 across 4 standards. 4.3 across 4 standards. The only difference actually is in clause 8. The practical application of what you are doing in your specific environment. That is in clause 8. So with that, I want to set the scene quickly. Why clause 4.1? Why is this foundational? Now, if you're looking at the high level structure, clause 4.2 answers the question, who matters? Everybody that is in your sphere of influence, everybody that is your interested parties, everybody that is your stakeholders, everyone matters. And that is what 4.2 answers. But 4.1 answers even more fundamental question. What is going on around and inside our organization? Now, guys, if we're looking at, we are auditing in South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Mauritius. All of these environments has got their own specific dynamics around them. This around one. What is the external environment that you are doing business in? And if you are looking at strategic management, um, I have studied my master's degree, and within strategic management, you are getting your vision, mission, then your organizational objectives, then you are doing your SWOT analysis, and then you are having your SWOT analysis that is actually looking at around and inside your organization. What do you have there? And what is your strengths and weaknesses in terms of that? And as well as what is the opportunities there? Now, if you're looking at around your organization, ISO 31000, especially the vocabulary and terminology standard, that is ISO 31073, is very important here, because that is the backbone of every internal and external context analysis, whether you are from ISO 9001 to 45001. It doesn't matter. It is exactly the same. You have to ask the same questions. And for that, you need to be understanding what is stipulated in ISO 31000. So clause 4.1 is not about documentation for its own sake. It is for you, for your business, to understand what is your situational awareness, your strategic realism, and your governance maturity. Looking outside in terms of your situation itself, and then looking to the inside about your governance. What is your governance, your strategy, your objectives, everything that you have got there. And then organizations that treat 4.1 as a tick box exercise almost always struggle later with risk management, objectives, controls, and audit outcomes. And that is so true. It is absolutely true. We have audited a number of companies in the last 10 years, and I can guarantee you, 4.1, if 4.1 is not addressed correctly, and if you cannot give evidence in terms of that you have considered everything in your external space and everything in your internal space, and you can explain that, and you have documented strategy about it, they struggle. They struggle with 6.1 because 6.1 links to 4.1 always. And that is then again linking to 7, to clause 7, and to clause 8. So what does clause 4.1 requires in simple, plain language? You can hear me as well. I don't want to be highfalutin. This is simple, practical experience that we are sharing with you and that we are helping you to actually prepare yourself for internal audits, for external audits, for certification audits. That is making it so easy. So firstly, determine what is the external and internal issues. Now, the external issues is usually your political environment, your social environment, your cultural environment, all those environments that is listed in ISO 31000. Your internal issues is governance. It is roles and responsibilities. It is policies. Do you have structure? Do you have, what is your design of your organization? And how does that design, that architecture look like? And how do you implement that? And what is the maturity of that architecture? So external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and strategic direction of your company, not of ISO. This is all about your company. We are trying to actually assist you to drive your company to achieve the intended outcomes of the management system. A management system is a plain structure that when you are starting up with a business, I was fortunate enough to be involved in one of the biggest projects globally between 2007 and 2013, and we were there from a blank slate, and we were working with people from across the world, from French to 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 Americans, to English people, to Australians, New Zealanders, South Africans, across the board. And we needed to understand, firstly, what is the external environment that we are going to be building this enormous project in. So that is super important. There are four critical elements embedded in this requirement. Firstly, external issues. External issues, I will get to that now. Internal issues as well. And then relevance to purpose and strategy. Guys, this is not a compliance exercise that you need to do this to comply with ISO. Otherwise, you are not getting certified. No, we want to see how is this relevant to your purpose and your strategy. How are you driving this forward? How do you take this and bring life into everything else that you are taking on? And then impact on the management system outcomes. That is your objectives. And the last sentence there, auditors are not looking for long essays. No, we are not. But we want everything to be addressed, yes. They are looking for evidence. Now, evidence, I just want to stop at evidence. We want not only verbal evidence. Verbal evidence is, in audit terms, the least reliable evidence. Least. Not the most, the least. We don't trust it. We hear you, absolutely. But can you confirm that with documentary evidence, with analytical evidence, with technical evidence, with confirmative evidence, and with physical and mathematical evidence? All of these things are creating for yourself evidence, and you need to make sure that you are actually addressing those things, because that evidence structure is super important. If you don't know what evidence you need to present, please ask us. We will send you a link to our audit evidence reliability model that is on our website, of structured thinking and ongoing awareness. Guys, super important. Your structured thinking, if we're looking at the design, the architecture of your management system, we want that to actually be transparent and to give us the design and to give us the evidence that the design is actually structured to drive your purpose and your strategic direction, but also that the management system is embedded in your organization. If we're looking at external issues, now back again to ISO 31000. External issues are factors outside of the organization's direct control. You don't have control over it. You don't have influence. You cannot perform or manage that yourself. You cannot. Compliance, resilience, or reputation. You don't have control over that. So the typical categories of external issues is political, economical, social, technological, legal, and regulatory environment. And then your trends and analysis, what you've got for your external environment, what has happened with your currency over the last 5 years, what has happened with your industry. If I'm talking about our experience in the diamond industry for the last 3 years, diamonds, the sale of diamonds has plummeted. And that is because of the economy globally. And just before that was COVID. So the diamond industry, our big mines in Botswana, in South Africa, all over the world, they are struggling because people don't buy the real diamonds anymore. And there are alternatives. And with this list, you can also put in there or include in there your in your legal environment, your environment there, your international environment, as well as your regional environment. Also competitors. What is your competitors? How are your competitors doing? Are they doing good, but you are doing bad? Then you need to go and research that further. So a practical and audit-friendly approach is to implement a structured external and internal issues or external PESTEL analysis and addressing all those things. This is what you need to consider. This is what you need to ask for yourself. Am I doing this correctly? The practical example here for ISO 27001 as well as ISO 22301 for the external issues is data protection laws. All of you know about the GDPR. Most countries has actually followed suit with the GDPR, and they have implemented their own privacy laws. In my country, the same. In our neighboring countries, exactly the same. So data protection laws are external issues, and that is falling under your legal environment. Load shedding, power instability, water disruptions. We have seen with the environmental changes that there are disruptions all over the world, whether it is a lot of rain here or a lot of snow there. It is impacting your business continuity. Increased cybercrime. Yo, if we're talking about this for the last 10 years, you can go and check every risk report from every big institution, and cybercrime is number 1, 2, or 3 globally, always. And this elevates your risk exposure. Skills scarcity. That is I want to say that is a challenge that everybody is sitting with, because everybody is competing for the same skills. Everybody is competing for the resources with the same skills. The skills in artificial intelligence is now on the rise. Absolutely. The question is, do the people have it? And do they have that enough in their business to create for them operational resilience? If we're looking, so that is the external part. Internal issues. How do we look inward, honestly? Not by telling ourselves lies and fooling each other. Nope, it is not about that. It is about being honest with yourself and being honest with your business. Otherwise, you can fool everybody. So internal issues are factors within the organization's control that influence its ability to operate effectively. So typical issues are firstly governance. What is your structure for your board oversight, decision-making maturity, your documentation, your exco, the executive committee? What is their roles and responsibilities? How do you work there? What do you do there? And how do you rate it? Very important. How do you rate it? We have got a simple scale that we are using, a 1 to 5 scale, where we are actually on a SWOT analysis. We are documenting all these governance, culture, resources, processes, technology, and structure that there's actually 18 of them. I will get to them in the next page. But there's actually 18 of them that you need to consider. And all of those, we are actually in the SWOT analysis in the internal environment with your strengths and your weaknesses. We are putting everything under weaknesses. If we are doing a strategic session with executives or the board, that we are taking the the uh, um, the weakness column, and we are actually rating governance, culture, resources, budget, skills, capacity, all the stuff. We are rating them on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 to 3 is staying in the weakness column, and 4 and 5 are moving over to the strengths. Now you've got a clear understanding of what you need to be looking at, what you need to be driving at, and this is honestly that you are looking at yourself in the mirror and say, hell, I can improve. I must improve. And in this space, auditors expect balance, not only weaknesses, but also strengths. And this is what I am stating here, that if you are looking, this is the extract of ISO 31000, where it is actually stipulated governance. You must consider governance. You must consider organizational structure. You must consider roles and accountabilities. Actually, roles and responsibilities first, and then accountabilities. You must consider policies, objectives, and strategies. Are the strategies for HR in place? Are the strategies for supply chain in place? Are the strategies for finance in place? And how good are they functioning? Can you still improve them, or are they actually average on a 3? The capabilities, very important section, this one. Capabilities, understood in terms of resources and knowledge. Capabilities of capital. Do you have capital at hand that you can invest? Do you have time that you can invest? Or is your company going down and now you don't have time anymore? Everything is a crisis. People. Do you have the capabilities of people? Do you have competent people? Do you have, or are people just resigning suddenly, everybody, and there's a high turnover? Processes. How is your processes? Are your processes sophisticated, or is it just a document what people are actually doing? Then your processes need to actually improve. Systems. What is your systems? How do you document your systems? How do you work with that? And technologies. All of that is about capabilities. And then information systems, information flows, decision-making processes, both formal and informal, and relationships, and perceptions and values of interested parties. Very important, because that interested parties are your stakeholders, and we will speak about that in clause 4.2 in next week. The organization's culture. How are you measuring that organization culture? How do you do a dipstick analysis to determine we are a very unhappy crowd, or we are a very nice crowd, or we are a very happy crowd? Who are we? What is your culture? What is your organizational culture? Your standards, your guidelines, your models adopted by the organization, and forms and extent of contractual relationships, because these guys are also your interested parties. So internal issues, just like with the external ones, there is a practical example. Legacy IT systems. Do you still have those legacy IT systems that is just hovering there, that is taking space? Or what are you doing with it? So increase operational and the security risk, because those things are not current. They are not protected as what we have got in the current type of systems. Informal processes. Informal processes, the effect of that is inconsistent service delivery, because my level of customer service, I hope that it is 80%, 90%, 100%, but I can be totally wrong as well. Somebody else that is evaluating me can say, oh, Nico, you are a 20%er. Okay, righto, then I have to learn. But informal processes, formalize that. I was talking about these things on the processes here, about sophistication or sophisticated processes. High staff turnover, knowledge retention risk. How do you work with that? How do you retain the knowledge that is in your organization, that you don't have a turnover all the time, every quarter, that you have to sit and invest in training and training and training, and invest in actually people getting into your organizational culture there on top. And then I don't like this culture. I don't want to be here, and gone. So what is wrong within the organization with a high turnover of staff? And then strong leadership enables effective implementation. I can see this supremely. We have encountered this over this last 10 years in every organization where we've got strong leadership. It's a pleasure to implement any ISO and to come and audit at other companies if there is strong leadership. If there is weak leadership, we struggle. We struggle with all these things. Really, we struggle with the internal environment that people don't even know of, that they cannot even account of, that they cannot even explain about capital. Yes, we have got a budget. Okay, fine, good. Time? No, there is no time limit. We can do this. We just have to perform at the end of the year. We will work in December, just before our performance bonus. So 11 months of the year, we are just hovering. And that is organizational culture again. So strong leadership is essential in implementing 4.1. So linking 4.1 to strategy and purpose. How do we link that? So the critical audit trigger, and audit trigger is what makes my hair stand up, what makes my ears goes like I've got satellite dishes here that I want to hear that, is the relevance to your organization's purpose and strategic direction. ISO is not an island. ISO is not a small island in the Indian Ocean. It is not a small island in the Caribbean. It is not an island. It needs to drive relevance to the organization's purpose and strategic direction. If I cannot see the connection there, you are disconnected. And then you need to connect it before I can actually see the bigger picture. So this means your clause 4.1 analysis must connect to reality, not a generic statement. Come on, please. You are driving your own business. You are driving the company that you are employed with. Your employer is actually demanding this from you, not generic statements. Generic statements is for people that is totally disconnected from everything. The purpose, as we were saying, the purpose and strategic direction. The purpose is to provide reliable, secure, and compliant services to clients. And this is if you are in the service industry. If you are in the products industry, this should be a different purpose then. Strategic direction is digital transformation to get to services to clients. Regional expansion, regulatory credibility. You can also look there at kind of issues of increased cyber threats. Strategic impact there is threatens the digital strategy of the company. Skill shortage slows expansion. Your growth is impeded. And then your regulatory scrutiny reinforces the need for compliance maturity. Very well stated there. And if this link is missing, clause 4.1 is considered weak. Weak. Not passing. You are not passing. You need to do this first. You need to connect the dots. If you cannot connect the dot, don't expect the auditor to connect it for you. He doesn't have the knowledge, the institutional knowledge that you have got. So 4.1 as the input engine of the high-level structure. 4.1 is the start. After your definitions, it is the start of your management system. So firstly, we are looking at every other clause that is affected here. Clause 4.2 identifies who is affected, and that is the dependency on 4.1. Clause 5, leadership focus areas. Definitely, it needs to link to 4.1. Clause 6, absolutely. 4.1 and 4.2 is the input generators for your risk and opportunities and your objectives of your company. I can guarantee you, if you didn't do your external context analysis and you are you haven't got a legal universe and a legal analysis, how are you going to implement your objectives in a total unfriendly environment? You need to have your external context analysis as the input there. Clause 8, operational controls. Every control is actually linked to a risk. Every risk going back to leadership, and leadership going back again to clause 4.2 and 4.1. Clause 9, what to monitor and measure. Back again to everything else that we have got there and stipulated there. And then clause 10, what must improve? What must improve? You need to determine through your analysis what must improve there. In mature systems, risk registers, compliance registers, and objectives are traceable back to clause 4.1 issues. Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to address that because if you're addressing finances in your external environment and you cannot transfer money out of your country to our country, that is affecting the payment of your suppliers. That is affecting the buying of goods. That is affecting the service delivery that is cross borders. Everything there. We have had this. We have got this in our environments. Our neighbors, their central banks are just saying we don't pay. So we are waiting 60 days for a payment of 14 days, 60 days, 90 days, and that is not only affecting our business, it is affecting the relationship that you've got in clause 4.2. That is affecting that. So what is the practical implementation model for clause 4.1? So firstly, step 1, maintain a context register. So what is your issues that you've got in your context register? You need to address your context register. It is just like a statement of applicability that you are going back. I just want to see, I'm now there, that you are going back to all of these. This is your statement, your context register for your internal space. Absolutely. That is your context register, and you need to be looking at your internal issues like skills gaps, etc. What is the impact of it, and how often do you review it? What is your external environment? Is it a social? Is it a legal environment? Is it a regulatory environment? What is it? Is it a political environment that you need to be addressing? And then what is the impact there? And what is the reviewing date there? Is it quarterly? It doesn't matter what. You need to decide that. Just like external cyber threat landscape, is it high in your space? If it's high, how often do you review it? So this context register is the start of everything. And this register becomes audit gold when properly maintained. Guys, this is so important because from this, on Excel, you can add columns and columns and columns, and you can have an assessment. You can have a risk assessment of your 1 to 5 scale, like a gap analysis. Exactly the same. You need to have this, and you need to drive this to determine where you are constantly, at least two to three times a year, maybe quarterly. So very important that this context register becomes gold. And you need to protect the gold that you've got. Step number 2 is to integrate with risk management. Risk management, guys, is your go-to tool. Risk management is described in ISO 31000. So ISO 31000 is very strong about that. So clause 4.1 is not a risk assessment, but it is the input to the risk assessment, because you are doing a pre-risk assessment in your assessment day, in your external context assessment as well as in your internal context assessment. You are actually doing a dipstick outside and inside of the organization. Examples here is 4.1 identifies power instability. Clause 6 assesses, is it a risk? Clause 8 implements controls to prevent it from being a risk. And Clause 9 monitors the effectiveness. And we as auditors expect to see this chain. We expect to see the connection between, if I'm reverse engineering, I want to see continuous improvement of what? Continuous improvement going back to clause 4. Continuous improvement go back to 4.1, 4.2, 5, etc. Everything I need to see, we need to see as auditors. How do you connect the dots? If you cannot connect it, then we cannot help you. Step 3, review and update. Often missed. Absolutely. People think that they are doing an environmental analysis and an environmental scan and something like that, and they can do it once off, and it is not a problem because nobody is actually asking for it. No, we are, because that is the crux of your environment. ISO explicitly expects ongoing review, not a once-off workshop. Ongoing. So every quarter, if you go to your board meetings or in your board committee meetings, what are you talking about? Can you quickly assess in that board committee, in the HR board committee, in the IT board committee, in the supply chain board committee, in governance board committee, just do a dipstick of what you've got. What is in the external space? What is in the internal space? How good is it in the organization? We don't always have to be task orientated and drive this thing because it is on the agenda. Yes, it is on the agenda. But sometimes there are things that are just bigger. Trigger events include organizational restructuring. We have seen this many times. Organizational restructuring, where the restructuring happens and everybody is so focused on, do I still have a job? And that restructuring takes a year, 18 months. And for that year and 18 months, or 18 months, what's happening within a business? So organizational restructuring is a trigger event that needs to be incorporated in terms of your external and internal environment. And in this one, specifically internal environment. New legislation. If there's new legislation that is promulgated or that is published, guys, you need to incorporate that from your external environment into your internal environment, because that is going to either make you compliant or non-compliant on a legal basis with a regulator, and that regulator can take away your license. Major incidents. Guys, and this is where incident management, and we are talking about major incidents, and incident management is actually usually in clause 8, and the performance is injected in clause 9, 9.2, and 9.3. But major incidents are triggering anything else. We had we have got a client. Sorry, we have got a client in the civil aviation environment. And they are a regulator. And about 3 years ago, the airplane that they are using in one of their structures to actually do inspections at airports, etc. When they had liftoff at the airport, 10 minutes later, that airplane was gone. It has fallen into the mountains. And immediately, the certification body that was certifying that regulator in terms of ISO 9001 quality management was writing to the regulator to say that you've got 30 days to give me evidence that you have done pre-audits, and I want to see what is done with that major incident. Otherwise, we are suspending your certification. Major incidents can trigger this. One of our clients in the diamond industry had the same thing. In the country that we are working with them, they are with the diamond transfers between the mine to the head office, to other places, to Belgium and everything. It is a secure line. Really, it's a secure line. Now, the country that is just next to this one didn't have the same processes and buy-in from the government. And they are working with plain security, outsourced security. And in October last year, a whole shipment of diamonds was stolen, was hijacked, was robbed. $350 million. Huge. It is in the news. You can go and check it. This is not insider info. Absolutely not. You can Google it. It's there. And the question is, what is the effect now on the country next to it? How do you work with that major incident? What is happening in that country now to determine what has happened? There's huge legacy problems now with the service provider. They are investigating the service provider. They will ban that service provider, I think, in the future. They will not get this work again. Next one, market or technology shifts. Hell, people, if you are even just working on ChatGPT, if you're working on ChatGPT, why do you want to go back to Google Chrome and to all these things to go and look at what do you do? How do you research? You can do it in 30 seconds. That market and technology shifts is also making this whole implementation of 4.1, 4.2 and the whole management system much easier, because you can actually ask for a template, and then out of that template, increase it, improve it to be picturing what you as a company are doing. So failure to update 4.1 after change is a common minor non-conformance. It's common. Absolutely. We are seeing it all the time. We need to give people instruction to say that, go and please do this, update this, and run it through AI that we can see if this is actually going somewhere or not. Common auditing findings for clause 4.1. First one, a dead no-no. A generic SWOT analysis copied from templates. Copy and paste. Guys, copy and paste is really so outdated. Really, we are talking pre-AI, pre-Copilot, pre-ChatGPT. You don't have to copy anything anymore. Ask AI, please, to check for you what is the current state of the political environment. In my country, in South Africa, we have got number of problems. You can follow us on the news, and that change from week to week to week. So what is the current state? So you can actually put all these things through AI and ask, what is the current state? How do we do things now? Second one, no link to risks or objectives. Total disconnect. Total disconnect. Here, you need to go and check, how is 4.1 implemented in 6.1? Because if it's not implemented in 6.1, you are not going to have resources for it. Resources, competence, awareness, communication, or documentation on it. If you don't have that, it is not going to be implemented in clause 8. And there's going to be no performance. It's a total disconnect from the management system. Management system is not silos. 4.1 is not standing on its own. Third one there, context, not reviewed after major change. Yeah, there can be a change in leadership. There can be a change in just appointments, or a retrenchment process or restructuring process, and then there are changes. Your environment change. You're sitting with less personnel. How do you do it now? How do you execute your internal context? How do you do your business, your objectives, your roles and responsibilities? Because all of those things need to be restructured now as well. Or do you just keep it as it was? But you are sitting with 20, 25, 30 less people in a department. You need to update it. Issues listed but not prioritized. Yeah, we are just listing things and we are not doing an assessment. Your statement of applicability is just there. Yes, it is. Yeah, we will address it. But actually, what do? We just park it. It's a parking garage, parking zone. Just like with when you are negotiating, we will park that, but we will not come back to that. We'll just park it. So prioritize it, assess it, determine how important is that. Is that mission critical, important, or essential, or is it just a routine thing? The next one, no evidence of management involvement. Yep. We are seeing that so often. We even where we are auditing places that management just give you two or three people to say that you can talk to them. No, but I don't want to talk to them only. I want to talk to you as well. I want to understand, how did you give leadership in this regard? I want to understand, how are you leading this way? How do you give direction? How do you lead by example? Or are you just saying, no, 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 they will do it. I will go and have a break, or I will launch there's something and there's something and there's something, but I'm not involved in that. I want to be on the forefront and in the newspapers. Then things that is good. A clear internal and external distinction. Now, guys, if you go back to ISO 31000, and specifically ISO 31000 clause 5.4.1, 1 and actually 3, as well as 31073. Internal context and external context are two different environments. You need to have a distinct a separation from each, as well as analyze each one. Evidence of review. Yes, very good. Alignment to strategy. Oh my goodness. This is what we talked about, your purpose and your strategy. And this is what I was saying, I think it was slide 4 or 5, where I was saying that purpose and your strategy are the most important things. I don't want you to be ISO aligned. Come on, man. The management system must support you and your business and your structure and your strategy. How can we do better? How can we give you structure and strategy to actually align things better? And they need to be a direct link to planning. Now, planning is clause 6, and clause 6 is risk and objectives. That's planning. That is planning. And that planning is not only in your short-term planning, but your medium-term plan, as well as your strategy or your 5-year plan. It needs to be in there, because some of the things that you need to implement are very expensive. And you need to implement it incrementally, or you need to implement it or get money to actually put it into phases. You need to get approval. And maybe this year is a bad year. No approval. You can put it next year as well. That is your continuous improvement strategy. And 4.1 is already speaking to that. So, clause 4.1 in an integrated management system. Now, guys, if you're talking about integrated management system, that name there, IMS, integrated management system, that is a super powerful word in or phrase in the high level structure of ISO. You can, if you want the integrated management system to document of the PECB, please take the email and we will send it to you by all means. It's not a problem. It gives you a great explanation of what is an integrated management system. An integrated management system is actually, at the moment, because of the high level structure, you can do it with any standard. I have started with this to say that quality, this is the biggest advantage that you've got. with this high-level structure. If a company is already like the mining industry, they are usually ISO 9001 certified, or a certain part of it. Environmental, absolutely they have to be. They have to be, because they are affecting the environment. Then health and safety, that is the biggest driver of the whole environment, 45,000. Now, if they've got this already, how easy is it to actually implement ISO 27001? 27001 is a breeze then. The only thing that you need to be looking at is your controls. Your controls, your 94 controls that you've got in ISO 27002. That's it, what you need to be addressing. And then you can incorporate business continuity, information security. I have just spoken about it. Compliance, 37301. Absolutely. So all of these can be integrated so easily. And then you've got an integrated management system that is actually audited and certified across the board. Hell, man, you can look at my signature. I will have it there at the end. My signature, I've got, I think, about 20 certifications there. You know why? Because it's easy. It is not difficult. If you have done one, you can do another. If you have mastered one with this high-level structure, you can do another. You can qualify you to be one of the most qualified people. And this is what we are doing. We as a business, we are doing this, that we are unique in the environment. Because we have analyzed our competitors. They are only looking at 1, 2, or 3. We've got 14, 15, 19 certifications that we can do. So this dramatically reduces duplication and increases strategic clarity. Absolutely. So strategic value of clause 4.1. When done properly, clause 4.1 sharpens strategic decision making. It improves risk anticipation. Risk anticipation is risks on the horizon or emerging risks. Risks that you don't have information on as yet. That is going to happen. Last year, when Donald Trump took over the White House, the 21st of January, what happened? The whole world was in anticipation. What the heck is going to happen here? And that anticipation is new things. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. I think all these things are now, all these cards are now played out. He must now just survive for the next 3 years. But this is, we need to be looking at this. Strengthens board oversight, definitely, because they are involved in this as well. Enhances audit readiness. I was this week involved in a training of one of the big banks in our environment, and these guys are worried about their audit. Why? If you're doing these things and you are reviewing it, why are you worried? Because you will always be ready. If you've got your 3 lines of defense and your 6 drivers of assurance in place and they are working, why are you worried about audits? You don't have to be, really. Anchors the management system in reality. This is a super nice phrase here. Anchors the management system in reality. Not in nonsense, not in I wish it was this world. No, it is not euphoria. We are here. We are doing this in the real world. We are auditing in the real world. We are giving you guidance in the real world. We are telling you in the real world, is this aligned? Are you doing this? Use AI. We are saying it because it is a resource that you've got. And that is going to be addressed in clause 7. So in high-performing organizations, clause 4.1 becomes a living governance instrument, not a static compliance document. And we are seeing that these things are usually a bit dead. Not totally dead, but there's a moment that in 3 or 4 months, you can still breathe life into that environment, the 4.1 environment, because people are doing it once a year. They are paying consultants, or they are not even doing it. So if you are doing this, guys, this is the first foundational block or stone of this building that you are building as you are going into a management system. So, closing thought. Clause 4.1 is where ISO stops being theoretical and starts becoming strategic. I've been saying this whole presentation. It forces leadership to confront reality. Not perceived reality, real reality, factual reality, internal strengths and weaknesses, external threats and opportunities, and to build management systems that actually work in the real world. And that makes you competitive. That makes you competitive because you are tuned in, you are triggered by anything that's happening on the news, in your environment, in Johannesburg, where we are sitting. We've got a problem with water, not because we are in a drought area. No, our dams are full. It is because the maintenance wasn't done. And that was a precursor already for the last 3 years. And now suddenly we are going to day zero, 23 days or 22 days. Now that should trigger people in the Western Province, because in Gauteng, this is the problem. But what can happen? What has happened in Cape Town? Cape Town went through this about 4 years ago. The same thing. Day zero was about 3 or 4 days away. And that was natural environments. This one is man-made. So if you're talking about this leadership is internalizing it, and it is building management systems that actually work in the real world. If you've got questions, please ask. Please put it down for us that we can answer you. While we are waiting for the questions, I just want to thank each and every one of you that was attending here. And what is going to happen every 2 weeks? This week was a bit, or last week was a bit difficult for us. So we were supposed to have this session, this webinar on the 5th. So it is now on the 12th. So from the 19th of February, every 2 weeks, we are going to have a webinar, and we will go through each and every clause of the high-level structure of ISO. Next week is 4.2. The 2 weeks after is going to be 4.3, the scoping environment, and then 4.4. We will make this all available on the website. We will also communicate it to you with our emails and other structures. If there's no questions, we can, and you can see there, this is what I was speaking about, all these certifications, and this is not fraud. This is just, I've done it. I've done it. And it is not difficult. Really, guys, if you have written one exam, you just need to apply the things on the next exam, and the next exam, and the next one. So you can be very qualified in terms of this. Thank you very much, and have a lovely day.